Today, on April 28th, I, Ben Bariso, along with Sammy Serpy, Chris Ortega, and Amanda Bariso, are going to be interviewing Mrs. Serpy about her 9/11 experience. We have a few questions to ask her, and she will answer on her experience.
Where were you on 9/11?
I was at home. I was actually on the phone with a friend of mine. Yes, it was Aunt Sharon.
What were you doing and who were you with when you realized what was happening?
I was on the phone with a friend of mine, and I was at home with Sammy, and my husband called, and he told me that planes had hit the building. But at that time, we didn't know what it was. We thought it was like a little plane that hit the building. We didn't know it was the big planes.
What had been your plans and expectations for that day?
Well, not very much. I was planning on spending the day with Sammy because I had just stopped working the week before. I became a stay-at-home mom, so I planned to spend the day with my little girl.
What was your first thought when you realized what was happening?
Holy crap. How could this happen here?
Yeah. Holy crap.
That was.
Yeah, no.
What did you do when you realized what was happening?
I started trying to get in touch with my brother because he worked in the city and I wanted to make sure that he was okay. So I was making a bunch of phone calls.
What is your most vivid memory of that day?
Probably when the first building fell, when it collapsed. It was just so shocking.
Can you describe the scene in one word?
Shocking.
Is there an image that has remained with you from that day?
The building's on fire and the people jumping out of the building to save themselves. I think that was the worst images, seeing them jump to their deaths.
Have your feelings about September 11th changed at all, and how?
No, I still think it was the worst day that happened in this country in my lifetime.
Do you relate, if you can, to negative effects of 9/11?
It's made people scared. It's made people a lot more prejudiced in judging people by how they look and what religion they are.
Relate, if you can, to positive effects of 9/11.
It's made everybody more aware, but that's about the only positive effect.
Okay. Are you different now than you were before September 11th?
Not really, just older.
Do you have any rituals to mark the day?
No. The only thing that I do on that day is I either text or call my brother because I'm so grateful that he got out of there before the planes hit.
Is there anything else you want to talk about your experience?
It was a scary day because I didn't get in touch with my brother until quite late in the day. He worked a few blocks away from the towers, and every day he would take the PATH train into the World Trade Center. And he actually left the Trade Center 5 minutes before the first plane hit. He heard it hit, and he didn't know what it was until he got to work, and they were all in the lobby, and after the buildings fell, he said everything went black. Like, you couldn't even see anything. And it took him, I think, 6 hours to get home because he had to walk. He had to go over the Staten Island Bridge, and he still actually saved his shoes with the dust.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yep.
It has been 15 years since the 9/11 tragedy. How has the world changed since then?
I think it's gotten crazier.
I agree.
I think people have just been insane since then and just filled with a lot of hate, and they have no regard for life, and they're crazy.
Yeah, terrorism has like progressed a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
So is security.
Mm-hmm.
Security's not really the same.
What have we as a nation learned about the events of 9/11?
That we're not as safe as we thought we were. That we're not untouchable, that anybody can harm us at any time, and that we need to be vigilant and be aware of everything around us.
Okay. It'd be like a day for all of us to remember.
Alright, we'd like to thank you for your time and sharing your experiences with us. So, thank you,
You're
Mom.
very
Thank
welcome,
you.
children.
Thank you.